Hey guys, what's up? It's Al. I'm here for the DraftKings NFL Week 11 first look. We're going to take a look at lineups. I'm sitting here on Twitch recording and talking to my stream. We're going over options of things that we can do for Week 11 and how we can build a lineup early in the week. Now, is this going to be my lineup on Sunday morning? Probably not. Things are going to change. You're going to have injury reports that come out during the week. Some news is going to change things around. You're going to lose players on defense. Offenses are going to have players ruled out, which is going to change the amount of snaps or routes or matchups that other people are going to have within their lineups. So this is just a first look lineup. It's the way that I kind of go about things on Monday. And then as the week goes on, I write my article for ESPN, Best Buys, that comes out on Thursdays. We do the Edge podcast, also comes out on Thursdays. I'll be live on Twitch on Friday for the Lineup Builder Q&A, and then for the Anti-Tinker Cast on Sunday. So we will update this as the week goes on with more content right here on YouTube. Thank you guys for being here once again. If you wouldn't mind, please click like on this video. Let's see if we can get over, I don't know, 1,700 likes on this video. Random number just popped into my head. Let's see if we can get 1,700 likes on this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and ring that notifications bell so you can get notified anytime that I come out with new content on this channel. So thanks for being here. Let's get to the lineup. So kind of looking at everything that we have, right? We got a shorter slate this week. A lot of teams on bye. Two of the best teams, two of the best offenses not on the slate. They are playing on Monday night, the Chiefs versus the Rams, in one of the highest totaled games of all time. It's going to be a great game. I will have a Monday night video for next week, posted for that one probably on Sunday. RW89, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub, man. So we've got a different looking week this week. We can't just stack the Chiefs. We can't just plug Gurley into the lineup. So there's a few things we got to do. Let's start with the high-priced quarterbacks. There's obviously going to be some value at quarterback as well. Drew Brees, the highest-priced one against Philly at the 26th ranked defense at 6,500, and Wentz right behind him at 6,300. Drew Brees has had two great games in a row, and they have Ingram back in the lineup. They do want to run the hell out of the ball. So we're seeing Drew Brees being exceptionally efficient. Right? 4 touchdowns on 25 completions, 3 touchdowns on 22 completions. He also had a rushing touchdown this week on a quarterback sneak where he just kind of reached over the goal line. What is the total of this game? It is early in the week, but the total is 52. New Orleans favored by 7. I have no problem playing New Orleans in a dome. There is a lot of New Orleans in the Superdome. There's a lot of data that shows that running backs do exceed value versus their salary expectation when playing at home and favored by more than a touchdown. We do have that situation here, and we have 2 running backs for New Orleans that could do the work. Drew Brees, though, solid floor play. I think that we can do better on price, but I don't hate the price at 6,500. It's not like he's 72 or 75. That's very restrictive. I think that we're going to see him in cash games this week, albeit I think it'll be a contrarian cash game play. To what else could be. Cam Newton, also a play that's a 30-plus point ceiling guy. If he can get himself into the end zone on the ground, we're seeing good volume from him. Coming off of bye week against Detroit, who has been a dumpster fire recently. Another spot where if you want to get Cam for 6,200, fine. Matt Ryan against Dallas. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks in play this week, guys. I really do. I like Ryan. I like Newton. I like Brees. I'm okay with Wentz, but I don't love Wentz. Probably not going to play Roethlisberger. Andrew Luck against Tennessee is interesting. I'd rather probably roster his pass catchers, probably T.Y. Hilton, maybe Doyle looking for flop lag, but like look at the touchdown efficiency. 3 or more touchdowns since every game since week 4, right? They play super fast-paced. He's only 5,900. Albeit against a team that does play slower, so you might think that he's going to play less snaps than usual. And again, against Jacksonville, 3 touchdowns, 285. So if you're looking for 3.5x out of your quarterback, 21 points, he's averaging 23 on the season. Not really something that's out of the line to look for from Andrew Luck in this matchup. Deshaun Watson's too cheap at 5,700. I know he's matched up against Washington. I know that they're on the road here. Deshaun Watson rushing ability gives him a really solid floor. He's had a little while to recover from the rib injuries. This seems like a very safe cash game play to me at 5,700. Fitzpatrick and Winston, they don't know which one's going to start, so let's just price them the same so that there's no advantage if one doesn't. Marcus Mariota coming off of a very good game, but again, the volume is way down, so he has to be super efficient. This is where it gets dangerous, I think, because last week he was at 4,700, 4,600 the week before, had 2 good weeks at salary. Now he's come up in price. Now people are going to jump back onto him. And he's got 5 touchdowns the last 2 weeks, one of them on the ground, 5 touchdowns in 53 attempts. Like, he does not throw the ball a ton, guys. He's getting ridiculous efficiency, which is what you want out of a quarterback, because efficiency means more to a quarterback's ability than volume, or fantasy ability than volume. But he's got 4 touchdown passes in the last 2 weeks. He has 7 on the season. So you are either buying the story that the Titans have turned the corner offensively and now are going to be this great offense that just kind of blossoms and does well and scores a ton of points moving forward, or you think that they're going to kind of regress back to the offense that they've been for the rest of the season, and he's going to be a high ceiling, low floor candidate. I would much rather have Deshaun Watson at 5,700 than Marcus Mariota at 5,500. In a cash game lineup, I think Mariota is GPP viable, but a lot of quarterbacks are GPP viable because tighter band of scoring, tighter salary clustering. The rest of these guys, Stafford, probably not. Prescott, Manning, Bortles. Prescott, I don't hate. I think he can do damage through the air with the weapons that they have now around him. We've gotten 3 straight games of solid production. He can produce on the ground as well. Again, I'd probably still rather have Deshaun Watson at 57. I think that's the Zeke show. The interesting play is down here. Lamar Jackson, if Joe Flacco is out and Lamar Jackson is named the starter, I'm buying Lamar Jackson at 4,700. I think that his rushing ability and the way that they're going to have to utilize him, because they cannot just have him drop back and throw. They're going to have to move him. They're going to have to do a lot of RPO. They're going to have to do a lot of read option. And they're going to have to hold linebackers and take advantage of one-on-one situations where he can make easy throws, maybe throw it 20 to 24, 25 times, and run it about 8 to 12. Is the way I think that Baltimore is going to have to run their offense. Now, if he does that, you're looking at like a 40 to 50 yard rushing mean is what like your average projection should be for him. That is 4 or 5 fantasy points right there. You need what, 15 fantasy points out of him? If he can't get 10 points through the air for, you know, touchdowns and yards and everything else without a rushing touchdown on the ground, but 50 or 45 yards on the ground, there is more upside than that for him on the ground if he busts a long one, which is there is a possibility with his speed and agility. Lamar Jackson massively underpriced at 4,700, at least to me. I'm going to plug him in for the first look, assuming that he's going to be the starter. We could easily have come up here to the $5,700 quarterbacks, to Deshaun Watson if you wanted to just play it safe. But it's Monday, and I want to go out on a limb. Cincinnati, one of the worst defenses, projecting to be worse than the Rob Ryan Saints from a few years ago. I'm going to take the chance here with a first look with Lamar Jackson. If he's not the starter, pivot elsewhere. But that's where I want to start. And the reason I want to start there is because we've got some pretty good matchups. Oh, look, Atlanta, the flowchart running back. Oh, look, Barkley, the other flowchart running back list. I want this sort of volume. I want to get this guy with this much volume in the passing game against a team that has given up so many targets and catches to opposing running backs. The floor for Ezekiel Elliott is massive this week. The ceiling for Ezekiel Elliott, with his usage around the goal line, his ability to run the football, jump over defenders or run around them, against a team that is allowing so much volume to go to running backs in the passing game, with DraftKings being a full PPR, Ezekiel Elliott at 8,500 is a smash play. If they're going to drop prices for players playing against great defenses, and we've seen this all year, when teams play against Jacksonville, their prices go way down, right? We've seen them do that. When you don't do that on the other side, right? And I said this for years. This is an MLB thing for me, an argument that I was making in MLB. If you're raising prices for players, and they do this now, if you're raising prices for players when they play in Coors Field for hitters, then you also, conversely, need to drop the prices for pitchers who are pitching in Coors Field. If you're raising the price for players when they're pitching or hitting in Coors Field, you have to drop their price when they're playing against Sale or Scherzer or Kershaw. You have to make them more attractive for you to go get, right? You can't keep them priced where they are based on their hitting if you're going to do all this matchup-based pricing. So if you're dropping prices against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Ezekiel Elliott is underpriced this week at $8,500. Okay? His salary's come up a little bit, for sure, right? But if his highest salary has been $8,300, $8,400, $8,100, he needed to be $9,100 or $9,200 this week going up against Atlanta. Cheesesteak! Now you're making me hungry. Cheesesteak 73, my same birth year, I assume. You're as old as I am. Let's have a cheesesteak today. And Toasted, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub, dude. Appreciate you being here. This is an underpriced play. Much like a couple of weeks ago when Alvin Kamara was $7,300 because people were scared that Mark Ingram was going to take his market share of runs and targets and everything else, then all of a sudden, he was underpriced. I thought he should be about $8,500. I think Ezekiel Elliott against Atlanta should be about $9,100. I'll take the $600 there. Saquon Barkley, getting all the volume that he can handle. Jesus Christ, look at the passing game work. 10, 10, 12 the last 3 weeks. Getting 15 plus, 12 to 17 carries on the ground pretty much every week and being treated like a wide receiver. You are getting wide receiver 1 usage in the passing game. You are getting running back, low end running back 1, running back 2 type usage in the running game, and it combines to have him be one of the highest floor players that we see at running back. Not one game under 20 points on the season, averaging 26, and going up against Tampa Bay, who's been, with Thanksgiving coming, a cornucopia of fantasy points against. I want both of these cats in my lineup, and I will find a way to make it happen. So that's my running back rant on the week. Over under Saquon, chat says, Magnus says, over under Saquon 35 points this week. I'm going to say under, but there is a chance he goes over. I think I can lock in, 20 to 25 touches out of these two guys. And you guys know that I like to try and get 70 touches plus out of my 2 running backs and my flex if I'm going with the running back and flex, which I usually do. Unless there's a ridiculous misprice of a running back. So other guys I'm considering here. McCaffrey. Detroit's been very giving to opposing running backs. McCaffrey doing great things and scoring more rushing touchdowns the last 3 weeks. Maybe they're trying to keep Cam out of trouble, right? They've run the ball with McCaffrey and the fullback around the goal line. Maybe they're trying to keep him fresh for later in the season. McCaffrey also a threat to score through the air. 8,000. Don't know if I can fit 3 of those guys at that price. David Johnson. If value opens up at wide receiver, McCaffrey and Johnson definitely in play. We can play with Team Jam him in this week and just get those guys. Since Leftwich took over, we've seen much more volume in the passing game. 9 targets, 4 targets. We've seen better run situations. They're running the ball outside. They're not just pounding him into lines on 1st and 10 and 2nd and long, which is resulting in a higher average yards per carry, right, than these middling games, 2.8, 3.0, 3.1, where they're giving him volume on the ground, but it was useless volume because they weren't getting him in space where he could do things. So David Johnson now in play for me again at 7,800 and has a great matchup against Oakland, who is where we want to stream running backs against, especially looking back at Melvin Gordon from last week, who if David Johnson gets similar usage to, which Melvin Gordon, a third usage is like 18 carries and 6 targets, right? That's right in this David Johnson wheelhouse recently, right? 5-6 targets, about 18 carries. He had 165 yards from scrimmage yesterday against Oakland. Or in week 10, did Melvin Gordon III. David Johnson, definitely that's sort of a player who can do the same things offensively if they get him the ball in space. 7,500, way less than Melvin Gordon's 9,000 against Oakland. Potentially a really great play here. You might not be able to fit him in cash, but if you can, if wide receiver value opens up. Leonard Fournette got great volume in his first game back, 29 touches. You're going to get the touches, albeit Pittsburgh, not a stuffing defense, but not terrible either. Jacksonville probably wants to get back to what they were doing before, which is just feed Fournette a ton. If you want to go that route, fine. KERRYON Johnson last week, even with Theo Riddick active, got a lot of work. You know me, I want to take the touchdowns out. I want to work with just the volume. This volume is fine. 20 touches. If KERRYON Johnson's getting 20 touches at 5,800, I'm more okay with him than not. Dion Lewis, volume for price. Got 22 touches at 4,600 last week. He's priced up to 4,800 because he kind of flopped. But if you tell me that he's going to get 22 touches in a pace-up game, Indy being one of the top 4 teams in terms of snaps per game, in terms of seconds per snap, you're going to get more plays out of Tennessee this week, meaning that Dion Lewis should get his touches again at 4,800. I kind of like that play. I'm going to chase the flop lag early. All these games are early, so I don't have to move somebody to the flex, right? Atlanta plays early. So do they. Okay. So this works in terms of like flex usage. You always want to put your latest player in the flex. Let's get a running back. Or sorry, let's get a defense and a flex play, or defense and a tight end play in there. And you guys know me, I don't really care about defense, but everybody's low priced. I care about defense on Sunday. On a Monday first look, I can't really make a defensive call here. So I usually just pick a 3K defense. Let's go with Carolina, although they're not at home. You know, I like to pick home favored defenses that get a lot of pressure, but Detroit allowing so many sacks. Let's just plug the Panthers in at 2,800. Picking a tight end, I think we're going to need to find value at tight end like we normally do. So yes, Zach Ertz, great play. Don't know if you can fit him this week. Fabulous for tournaments. Greg Olsen, okay. OJ Howard came down from his price where he was before, where he was over 5K. I'm interested in him. Not really interested in Hooper at 4,500. Eric Ebron being priced more than Jack Doyle is a joke. He just is. Ebron caught 2 touchdowns and had 1 on the ground with 3 targets last week. Played less than half the snaps that Jack Doyle played. They had the same amount of targets. Jack Doyle played 40-something snaps, and Ebron played 21 snaps. He just was lucky to be on the right side of things. I know that somebody's probably going to argue, yeah, but maybe they schemed to get him the ball in those situations, and therefore he's the more favored target around the goal line. If you look at Ebron's snaps in the games where Doyle plays, if you look at Ebron's routes run and targets in the games Doyle plays, it's super low. If you want to play Ebron when Doyle is out, I'm on board with you, and I was doing the same thing. But with Doyle back, don't play Ebron. Don't fall for that trap this week. You know that gif of the dude from like, what was it? The Thunderdome movie? That's bait. Don't fall for it. Evan Ingram, 4,100. I do like the volume here if you want to go up against Tampa Bay. Again, giving up points in chunks to pretty much everything. Don't hate that. Don't know if we can afford it. Huerman, I don't think that we're going to get 11 targets again, but I think that 6 or 7 is on the table. The Chargers, though, a very good defense, and playing on the road against a division opponent, paying $3,700 for Huerman, bouncing him up $1,100 in salary. They're very aggressive to get him up off that 2,600 range. I think there's some options we can find cheaper. Yes, the matchup is good for Jordan Reed. They just don't utilize him around the goal line, and they don't utilize him deep. He's not really he's a play that I used to love a lot, and he's somebody that I'm not really playing at all this year. Ben Watson, just a goal line guy. Uzoma, low volume. Ricky Seals-Jones, don't hate it. Low total in this game, but Oakland is just bad. If you think that they're going to keep Ricky Seals-Jones running a lot of routes and getting a good amount of targets, 9's probably a bit much, but if he gets 5 or 6 for 2,900, you can't complain. Again, 4 catches for 40 yards is 8 fantasy points, which is 1 off of value for RSJ there. Vernon Davis, not really a play that I make. Jonnu Smith is somewhere that a lot of people are probably going to look to because of the 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. The volume's not there for me. He is, to me, looks kind of like a trap. Yes, they're playing up in pace. No, I don't want to have 2 Titans in my offense or in my roster, based on especially one that's not getting a lot of volume. If I'm going to look to punt tight end this week, I like the way that Jacksonville's using James O'Shaughnessy. If I want a punt play, and with the pricing of the players where it is right now this week, and I want a pure punt tight end, if I'm going to get 6 targets for 2,600, 4 targets, 6 targets, 6 targets. In his last 3 games that he's played, albeit there were a couple of games missed in there. Just this volume alone gets me fine points per dollar here. If he happens to fall into the end zone on any one play, he absolutely smashes value. It's not about James O'Shaughnessy. Okay, plugging him into this lineup is not about James O'Shaughnessy. Plugging O'Shaughnessy into this lineup is all about Ezekiel Elliott, is all about Saquon Barkley, and is all about what we're going to be able to fit at tight end. So Mike Thomas, guy's a monster. Goes by can't guard Mike, and he's not wrong. You can't. Julio Jones, 4 straight weeks above 21.4 DraftKings points. The volume's there. The usage is there. One of my favorite plays pretty much week in, week out. If you think that he's going to take a 6-yard slant and take it to the house, again, love the volume. If you want to pay up, I'm on board with you. I get it. We were attacking him down here at 75. Those days are gone. They've priced Odell Beckham back where he belongs. Antonio Brown down at 7,800. We talked about the aggressive price downs for players going up against Jacksonville. He's consistent, and matchup kind of doesn't matter. So if you want to get a top-end wide receiver 1 at a middling, high to middle range price, I'm okay with that. But now we're getting into kind of the value plays, right? Boyd, no. Schuster, no. I'm selling all Cincinnati Bengals at this point. Keenan Allen against Denver is 6,700. Now, as the week goes on, obviously this is a tough cornerback matchup for Keenan Allen. Good teams do scheme the ball to their best players. I don't see him getting 3 targets, because of the Chris Harris matchup. I do see them moving Keenan Allen around, and 6,700 to me just seems too cheap, considering that he has not seen a game under 7K all year. And if you look at his last 4 games, based on his volume and production, they've been solid. I don't hate him at 6,700. T.Y. Hilton, 6,100. The volume doesn't look like the top guys, but 6,100 against Tennessee is a solid price. You know that they're going to throw the ball a ton. He is a player that brings you massive upside based on the fact that he has that 60 or 70-yard touchdown type play in his locker. I want to go for the potential volume play up top, and to me that's Keenan Allen. The every week chase, Kenny Golladay. Got there this week. 13 targets after a few weeks where he didn't do anything. 19.8 DraftKings points. 5,800 could be too cheap based on the volume. Maybe they're finally getting it. They're feeding the ball to KERRYON Johnson. They're feeding the ball to Kenny Golladay. That is where the Lions' best path to success is. If they continue to do that, fine. Not somebody I really want to plug in here. The one that's going to surprise most of y'all. Where did he go? You're going to make me search for him, aren't you? There we go. Atlanta's given up a ton of targets and a ton of catches over the last 5 games to wide receivers. They're giving up big games a lot to wide receivers, something they did not used to do. Amari Cooper is at least getting steady volume since the trade. The Cowboys paid a lot to get him, and they seem to be hell-bent on proving that it was worth it. He has not scored a long touchdown yet. He has not had a big play yet, only a 24-yard catch in each of his first 2 games, but the volume is the thing that I like the most. He went to a team that is starved for playmakers on the outside or in the passing game. Ezekiel Elliott was their best playmaker. Gallup fits best as a second or third option. So does Hearns. Their tight ends leave a lot to be desired in terms of being able to break free and get open. At least Amari Cooper has the ability to get open. Now, they've shown the want to get him the ball. 18 targets in his first 2 games, learning the playbook a little bit more every game. This is a high-scoring game. We're playing Ezekiel Elliott here in this spot, expecting a lot of offense. I don't mind going with 2 Cowboys here and just chasing all the volume and all the touchdowns that the Cowboys should score in this game, leaving us 5,800. We can afford Golladay if I want. Larry Fitzgerald, though, this is the question. Would you rather play Kenny Golladay or would you rather play Larry Fitzgerald? 10 targets, 12 targets, 8 targets, 8 targets. The last 4 weeks, he has been there, getting fed. The last 2 weeks, in the Byron Leftwich offense versus the McCoy offense, you're getting 22 targets each of the last, in total the last 2 weeks. I think this is going to be more the norm than this. He may dip down to 7 or 8 targets. I don't see him going down to 3, 4, or 5. Larry Fitzgerald's a very easy play, and against a team that is not very good in Oakland at stopping just about anything. I like DJ. I like Fitzgerald this week. I do like Golladay, but I'm not sure yet. So for me, I'm going to try and plow in these, let's say, 7 or 8 minimum targets in Fitzgerald, 7 or 8 minimum for Cooper, probably 7 or 8 minimum for Keenan Allen. I'm probably going to get 20 touches here. I'm going to get 20 to 25 out of here. That gives me my 70 that I want. I'll take the upside with Lamar Jackson. I'll take the sack upside against Detroit here and hope that O'Shaughnessy can fall his way into the end zone. For a first look lineup, I don't hate this at all. I do like the pricing this week on DraftKings. I do like the way that lineups look. I love the matchups this week. This is going to be a fun week to break down, and I hope that you guys join me on the Edge podcast. Read the Best Buys column on Thursday. Join us on Friday on Twitch, or right back here when I post the video from that stream, as well as the Sunday Anti-Tinkercast, the 45 minutes right before lock. I'm live taking your guys' questions. So thank you all for being here. I'll catch up to you later. Bye, guys.